and then he goes off on this weird Jeffrey Dahmer tangent, about how Uncle Bosie became an appetizer to some tribesman with a bone through his nose, and and we're supposed to buy it, and it suddenly pivots to, and you know who hates the troops? Donald Trump. Not like me, whose son was eaten by cannibals in, Ramadi and also Afghanistan.
Earlier this week, Joe Biden hit the campaign trail. He got an endorsement from the U.S. steel workers in Pennsylvania, stopped by Scranton, and then told everyone that his uncle was eaten by cannibals. Watch.
Back when D-Day occurred, and on Sunday, the next day, my mother's 4 brothers all went down to the recruiting station and joined the military. Every one of them volunteered. And my uncle, they called him Ambrose Bosie, they called him Bosie. My Uncle Bosie was a hell of an athlete, they tell me, when he was a kid. And he became an Army Air Corps before the Air Force came along. He flew those single-engine planes as reconnaissance over war zones. He got shot down in New Guinea. And they never found the body because there were a lot of cannibals for real in that part of New Guinea. My son volunteered to go to.
All right, I think we've seen enough here. Let's start with you, Andy, because I'm told when you point out these little moments that Joe Biden has, that in some way we're being, anti-elderly, that we're making fun of that. You represent the Association of Mature American Citizens, AMAC. Your entire constituency are seniors and the elderly people. You should hear my dad go off on Biden. I mean, this has nothing to do with his age. It has to do with his brain doesn't function.
Absolutely. And it's sad to watch this. There isn't anybody who's watching this or anybody on this panel that doesn't know somebody or have a loved one who has suffered from dementia. This is very difficult to watch. And so there's some empathy here. Okay. But it's also very scary to see the position this guy has. He clearly doesn't have the mental capacity to do the job. Thank God he's not driving a car. If he is, I haven't seen it. Okay. I'm hoping that they're driving him around.
By the way, for the record, I think he does drive his Corvette now and again just to go in and out of the garage where all the classified documents are stored. Right. Chris, needless to say, his uncle was not eaten by cannibals. In fact, his uncle went down in a plane over the Pacific, not over New Guinea. It was off the shore of New Guinea. But that shouldn't even matter at this point, should it? I mean, it's like he lies with abandon. And I don't know if you saw this. The Associated Press said he got some of the facts wrong on this one. Not he lied. Where are all the fact checkers that we used to know and love?
He told the story again while he was in Pennsylvania. He did it twice. And then Karine Jean-Pierre, I call her Pepe Le Pew, the White House press secretary, had to somehow explain it away, and she really couldn't. So she just talked about his love for veterans and whatnot. And I was also doing the math. I mean, I don't know how old a guy he is. What is it, 82 or something? It doesn't feel like he's that far off from having participated in D-Day physically himself, Yeah.
By the way, that's another fact check. He said D-Day, but he did not mean D-Day. He meant Pearl Harbor. He meant December 7th.
Okay.
Because it doesn't make any sense that his uncles all waited until D-Day 4 years into the war before they decided to sign up. So,
and by the way, can we talk about the people behind him that all look like they're held hostage?
They were. The union bosses made them stand there.
The people that are forced to be in these photos with him when he shuffles into Wawas and stuff, they all look like they're captives. Blink twice for help.
But Kurt, there's something else about this story that actually enrages me, because I love laughing at this guy. I mean, if we can't laugh at this man, we're crying. But Kurt, you're an Army vet, and the reason he told this story, this isn't getting as much news, but he told this story so he could then pivot and retell this already thoroughly debunked story that Donald Trump referred to dead veterans from the military from World War II in a cemetery as suckers and losers. That story that he didn't want to visit World War II dead in a cemetery in France. He started that story about his uncle being eaten by cannibals to then slime Donald Trump. And this is supposed to engender support with veterans in the military. I'm guessing that doesn't work.
No, it doesn't work. And I mean, and keep in mind, he's not only wrong about everything you guys talked about. He said, yeah, and it happened on, and the next day, a Sunday. Well, for the day he's talking about, Pearl Harbor happened on a Sunday, so the next day would have been Monday. D-Day happened on the Tuesday, so the next day would have been Wednesday. This guy can't even get the calendar right. And then he goes off on this weird Jeffrey Dahmer tangent, about how Uncle Bosie became an appetizer to some tribesman with a bone through his nose, and and we're supposed to buy it, and it suddenly pivots to, and you know who hates the troops? Donald Trump, not like me, whose son was eaten by cannibals in Ramadi and also Afghanistan.
Yeah.
Just,
By the
go
way,
with him. Go with him, Democrats. Keep up with
By
it.
the way,
what, Chris?
a man whose former presidential bid was interrupted by a bout of plagiarism.
Exactly. This is who Joe Biden has been for decades. By the way, the cannibal from New Guinea, I think, is now a warlord running things in Haiti, but soon to be
Nice.
a peaceful migrant crossing our border in Mexico. And
Yes, welcome barbecue.
when this story hit, by the way, on our daily show here, I had mentioned, imagine being the American ambassador to New Guinea this morning. No, Mr. Prime Minister, the president doesn't think your country is full of cannibals. In fact, if you look at the Daily Mail's headline here, apparently they are very ticked off in Papua New Guinea right now. They wouldn't just see any white men that fell from the sky, say outraged Papua New Guinea academics, as they're lashing out at Biden's unacceptable suggestion. But, I was told, Andy, that the grown-ups were back in charge, that Joe Biden was going to make America the world love us again. And here he is offending the good. What did the people in New Guinea ever do to deserve this?
Well,
this guy's what we used to call, he's a weapon. And I have to agree with Kurt. When I see those people standing behind him at a campaign rally or some kind of statement, they all look like they've arrived there via a forced march. Nobody looks happy there.
Yeah. He also, by the way, Chris said of the U.S. Steelworkers, thank you. When I ran for the Senate in 1972, you were the first group to ever endorse me. Of course, a month and a half ago, he said the exact same thing to the UAW. This sort of thing is sort of who Joe Biden is, as we've already mentioned. But we see through it. I mean, every single time he tries it, it doesn't ever work, does it?
But you know what it is? It's 60 years of being in the Senate and a vice president that no one really paid attention to. So you could walk around and give these stupid speeches and say these same lies over and over and over to Rotary clubs and, private dinners, and nobody paid attention. Nobody cared. And he is still in this cognitive dissonance where he believes he's a senator. In fact, sometimes he slips and says, elect me to the Senate. Send me back to Congress. It's the weirdest thing. I really believe he sometimes thinks he's still a United States senator from Delaware, and he can get away with talking about corn pop and cannibals from New Guinea.
All right. One more around the horn based on this latest escapade from Joe Biden. Kurt, does he make it to Election Day as the nominee for the Democrats?
Yes, and he loses.
All right.
I have now changed my mind. I think Donald Trump is going to probably win this election as things are postured now. This guy is a desk kid, crusty, corrupt old pervert, and I think people are tired of paying $40 for 2 Big Macs, a fries, and a Diet Coke.
Andy, will Biden be the nominee for the Democrats on Election Day?
Yes, he will make it barely.
And Chris?
He will make it. But we'll have plenty to talk about, like this clip, for months to come. Yes.
I'm going to defy my friends here. I think that the only way the Democrats have a chance to win is if they get rid of Joe Biden. I think the only way they have a chance to win is if it's the incumbent, historic first black female president running against Donald Trump, Kamala Harris. And I think they're going to make that switch right around the convention.